Hello, my name is Jacob. I'm a current PhD student at the University of Queensland, and today I'm going to talk to you a bit about the crown-of-thorns reproduction, Allee effects, and how this can guide management. So about every 17 years these crown-of-thorns outbreaks occur, and there's a number of mechanisms which are suggested to underpin these. One of these is the natural causes hypothesis. And this underpins the others and is fundamental to why these outbreaks occur. And it suggests that the occurrence of these outbreaks stems back to the reproductive biology. So fertilisation, larval production arising from aggregated or high-density populations. This is also known as the adult aggregation hypothesis. So just a note on their reproductive biology.
No, I did it once.
This would be fun. They're broadcast spawners, so they shed their sperm and eggs into the water column and rely on the prevailing conditions. And they have separate sexes, so the sperm and eggs are initially separated, and increasing proximity can boost the interaction between those sperm and eggs. And the CoTS are known to aggregate. However, the quantitative effect of these aggregations on the reproductive success of the species was unknown. And so we were looking at this through Allee effects. So in the context of our population density versus our sort of fertilisation, these Allee effects manifest as sort of an upward curve in the graph, which means as your population density increases, things become relatively easier. But that also works in the reverse. So as you decrease population density or population aggregation, things can become relatively harder, which is what we sought out to investigate. So how is the reproductive potential changed through aggregation and population density, and how can this potentially be exploited? To do that, we took a spatially explicit individual model and we simulated starfish locations. We then marked each of these starfish locations in our model with a sex, a size, and whether they participated in a given spawning event. From each of those locations, we modelled the sperm and egg plumes downstream of them and calculated viable fertilisations where they overlapped. And so by viable, I mean our monospermic fertilisation, so a single sperm, compared to multiple polyspermy, which we treated as an oral. So what did we find? We found that the recruit curve was upwardly curved across all of our densities and aggregation levels, so things were actually becoming relatively easier as the population density increased. We also found that in terms of the fertilisation, things were greatly beneficial at higher aggregations to low density populations. So you can see that red curve at the top there is really high levels of aggregation. We also fixed the population density in our model and just varied aggregation levels. So the top is a low population density plot, and the bottom is a higher population density plot. And you can see there's this optimal level of aggregation in the species. So very important at low densities, less so at high densities. And we found that the reason things weren't as good at high densities in terms of aggregation was because of an increase in sort of polyspermic fertilisations, as well as a trade-off between sperm coverage and concentration. In terms of management implications, this means maintaining starfish below about 3 individuals per hectare, and that's based on aggregation and population density. It really also emphasises the importance of breaking up starfish aggregations at low population density, because if you have a population density of 3 starfish per hectare, but if they're highly aggregated, they might have an equivalent reproductive output to a much higher population density, so say 10 starfish per hectare. We also did a number of sensitivities in our model, And we found that female skewed populations could really accelerate much quicker than sort of even sex ratios or male skewed sex ratios. And similarly, we found that an increase in sort of juvenile numbers was an indicator of an incipient outbreak risk, because as size of the individuals in the population increased, there was a dramatic increase in their reproductive potential. And through the same lens, we found that removing the largest starfish was going to give you the most bang for your buck, because you're reducing the average size in the population. From here, I would like to sort of include these Allee and aggregation dynamics into broader population dynamics models, and have a look at finer scale trophic interactions, so things like habitat prey predator abundance and how that interacts with starfish aggregation.